Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into a pretty fascinating and honestly kind of hidden world. We're talking about our digital footprints. Every single time we sign up for an app, buy something online, or make a social media profile, we're leaving a little breadcrumb trail of data behind. And 9 times out of 10, that breadcrumb is our phone number. But have you ever wondered just how easy it is for someone to figure out everywhere you've registered that number? Well, today, we're looking at a specific tool that does exactly that. We're going to map out exactly how public data gets gathered so you can really see the reality of your own digital footprint.
To really wrap our heads around how this works, let's just imagine a simple physical analogy. Okay, picture this. What if a complete stranger walked into your neighborhood right now, went door to door, and asked whoever answered, "Hey, excuse me, does Rahul live here?" Some houses are going to say, "Yeah, he does." Others will be like, "No, literally never heard of him." Now, this stranger isn't trying to break into the houses. They're just walking around with a clipboard, taking notes based on the answers they get. But by the end of the day, that stranger has an incredibly accurate map of exactly where Rahul hangs out.
Okay, let's dive into this. There's this Python-based tool called Enumeration that takes that exact physical door knocking concept we just talked about and maps it directly onto the internet. So instead of walking down a physical street, it's using computer code. And instead of asking for a person's name, it's asking websites about your phone number. It literally automates this whole process of checking whether a specific phone number is linked to online accounts all over the web. Now, to really understand tools like Ignorant, we need to decode a bit of jargon you'll hear a lot in this space. OSINT. It stands for Open Source Intelligence. Open just means it's publicly available, so absolutely no hacking required. Source refers to where the info comes from, like a public website, and intelligence is just a fancy word for useful, collected information. So putting it all together, OSINT is simply the act of gathering information that is already out there in the open, literally just waiting to be read. The other big concept we need to quickly decode here is enumeration. Now, enumeration isn't some complex hacking technique. It simply means collecting information from systems by asking them really basic yes or no questions. In our case, the enumeration is checking if an account exists based on a phone number. It's the digital equivalent of walking up to a website and asking, "Hey, is there an account here? Yes or no?" All right, Section 1, meet the Ignorant tool. Now, you might be wondering about that name. Why on earth call a piece of software Ignorant? Well, it's a bit ironic because the tool is designed to do the exact opposite. It's actually trying to remove our ignorance about whether a phone number exists on different digital platforms. It operates as a command line interface, or CLI tool. That just means there are no fancy buttons or graphics. You're basically just typing text commands into a dark terminal screen. And the core question this tool is designed to blast out to the internet is super simple. Is this number registered on websites like Instagram, Snapchat, Amazon, Telegram, and so on? It just fires off this question to dozens of major services and reads the publicly accessible responses. And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates a major flaw in how the internet is built. Websites accidentally reveal clues to us all the time. Think about the last time you forgot a password. You go to the forgot password page, you type in your phone number, right? Well, if the website spits back a red error saying number not registered, it just gave away that you don't have an account. But if it says a recovery code has been sent, bingo, the website just publicly confirmed that an account definitely exists for that number. Login pages and sign-up forms do this exact same thing. Let's move to and see how this builds into a fully automated workflow. It actually happens in 4 incredibly fast steps. Step 1, you enter a number into the tool. So you type something like ignorant followed by the phone number. Step 2, the tool automatically contacts all these different websites, sending requests out to places like Instagram and Amazon. Step 3, the websites respond, giving up those little clues we just talked about, like user exists or invalid number. And finally, Step 4, the tool analyzes all those replies and prepares to show you the final map. What's really interesting here is how simple the final output is for the user. Because it's a text-based tool, it relies on basic symbols to give you the results. A plus sign next to a platform like Telegram, that means found. A minus sign next to Twitter, that means not found. And an exclamation mark just means the tool got an error or was completely blocked by the website. So it's incredibly easy to read at a quick glance. Under the hood, making this happen at high speeds requires some pretty clever engineering. As we mentioned, it uses the Python programming language and pairs that with something called a requests library. Don't worry about the technical terms. It's basically just code that lets the tool talk to web servers really easily. It also utilizes APIs, which are essentially digital communication bridges between different pieces of software, along with web scraping techniques, which is just a fancy way of automatically reading and extracting data right off a web page.
Moving on to Section 2, the cybersecurity tug-of-war.
There is a constant, completely invisible battle going on in the digital ecosystem. On one side, you have reconnaissance tools trying to gather information, and on the other, you have corporate security teams doing everything they can to hide it. This specific process we're looking at is known as account enumeration, and let me tell you, platforms absolutely hate it. Why? Well, if attackers can identify users, they can target specific victims. Imagine a bad guy finds out your exact phone number is linked to a specific bank or your Amazon account. They can then send you a highly targeted fake text message pretending to be that exact bank. This is called a phishing attack, and it's a huge part of social engineering, basically tricking human beings into giving up their passwords. So, how do these websites actually fight back? Well, they constantly change their APIs to try and break the tools. They add CAPTCHA puzzles, those super annoying tests where you have to click on all the traffic lights to prove you aren't a robot. Yeah, those. They actively block automated bots, and they use rate limiting, which basically means they'll only let you ask for a password reset maybe 2 or 3 times an hour. And because of these constant defensive upgrades, OSINT tools like Ignorant actually break pretty frequently and require constant updates just to keep working.
Section 3, ethics and rules of use.
Now, hearing all this, you might be thinking this tool is entirely illegal, but the tool itself is totally neutral. It heavily depends on who is using it and exactly why they're using it. In fact, cybersecurity professionals rely on tools like this every single day for completely legitimate reasons. Take investigations, for example. They might use it to check a phone number that's been calling people with a scam just to see if it's linked to any real social media accounts. In red teaming, which is when authorized professionals simulate being bad guys to test a company's defenses, they use it to understand their attack surface, or basically how much info they're exposing. And in bug bounty programs, authorized researchers test platforms to see if they're accidentally leaking this enumeration info so they can actually fix it before the bad guys find it. So the crucial point here is understanding that boundary. Legal and ethical use means you are strictly running this tool on your own phone numbers in closed lab environments or strictly for authorized educational and testing purposes. Illegal misuse, on the other hand, crosses a massive line. Using this tool to stalk people, harass users, or collect data illegally is absolutely forbidden. While just running the tool isn't technically hacking, because, again, it relies entirely on public information, misusing the data it gives you can definitely break the law. And it's worth noting that Ignorant is far from alone in this space. It exists in a massive ecosystem of highly specialized open-source intelligence tools. For example, there's a tool called Sherlock that does the exact same door-knocking routine we talked about, but it does it for usernames instead of phone numbers. Another one, called the Harvester, looks for emails and domain information. ReconNG provides a whole framework for investigations, and PhoneInfoga digs incredibly deep into phone number intelligence. So the digital toolbox for finding open data is vast, and it's highly specialized. Which brings us right back to you and your own digital footprint. We've seen just how simple it is to ask the internet if an account exists, and we've seen how fast a tool like Ignorant can map it all out. So, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. If your personal phone number was run through Ignorant today, how many websites do you think would return a plus sign for found? The answer might genuinely surprise you. It's a really great reminder to always be mindful of exactly where we're leaving our digital keys. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep exploring.